Hi there guys, Sam here, welcome back to another video where I'm going to go through the Volkswagen Golf GTI Clubsport, the 2020 review. And kind of the first review, the first sort of road test from like the automotive world. And yeah, go through this article with you and yeah, talk you through my thoughts. So yeah, welcome back to another video. And as you can see on screen, this is the Golf GTI Clubsport. And a review came out, well, as of yesterday basically, on this car. And I did a first review of sort of like the Mk8 Golf R, which I'll put in the link in the description above, where I went through this in a similar way. But yeah, I'll go through their thoughts, what it's like in the real world. I think these first drives and sort of understanding it is quite important, particularly if you're looking to get the car. And yeah, I'm interested to kind of hear more from this article. So yeah, I'll start off by just going through some of the images that they've got, that they've taken from this road test. And first of all, I think the colour looks really, really great, and I think the lack of the lack of optional colours in the Mk8 Golf R kind of is a bit disappointing, only having 3 options. But it looks like it's a little bit more assorted with the colours here. I do want to go through the UK configurator of this car in a future video, so yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, this grey looks great. You obviously get the extra decals as well, which comes as part of like the Club Sport sort of image. It's trying to look a little bit sportier. So that looks great. I'll go into sort of further details as we get through kind of the information in the article. But yeah, let me know what you think of these kind of images. I think it has a great look to it. That rear spoiler, which comes as standard, looks very similar to sort of like the optional performance pack in the Mk8 Golf R, which you'd have to pay an extra £2,000 for. So it's quite interesting what you get with your TCR. And I believe that does actually provide proper real downforce. You know, they test these cars around the Nürburgring, so yeah, that's what you get. Decals looking like they probably are an option, but the spoiler I believe is standard. Twin exhaust pipes, it's a pumped up GTI basically, that's the idea of it. Wheels look really nice. They're probably the nicest wheels that I think I've seen on a GTI actually, and actually all the sort of hot Golfs. Nice sort of flow to it. 19-inch wheels. They look like diamond cut to me as well. But looks cool, works well with the grey and the red, and yeah, it all blends in quite well with this car. As we go through some more, there's more pictures of the brakes as well. So brakes are larger than there's been on sort of like the previous generation Golfs. Again, these are the same braking setup as you'd get in the top of the range Mk8 Golf R. So another reason why the GTI Clubsport might be quite a bit of a dark horse and might be one to go for. GTI badge, GTI lettering, nice and simple. Really nice one-piece seats actually. Again, similar to the R, but yeah, not too over the top of colours, but still quite a little bit interesting, quite a little bit special I think from those pictures personally. The interior again also looks a little bit dulled down to a bit. Like the GTI, probably the standard GTI probably has more red on the dash. I like that, and I like the sort of green backing as well. It's not too full on, and yeah, DSG, that's all you kind of get with these cars nowadays. But yeah, I think it looks quite smart, to be honest with you. GTI badging there. Yeah, a few settings shown here as well. You get obviously the dynamic chassis control. Again, we'll go through more of the specific options in a future video, but also what they kind of say in this article. So do stay tuned. This channel has plenty of golf related content. So yeah, do subscribe if you're interested. Yeah, we got the haptic buttons, which I don't think anyone's a big fan of. There's the AAA engine, 296 brake horsepower. It's actually equivalent power to what the Mark 7.5 or Mark 7, my Mark 7 Golf R is. So they've upped the power. It's more powerful than the previous generation TCR and Clubsport sort of 40th anniversary edition, and not too far off the full fat Clubsport S, which was no back seats and everything. So they've sort of made quite big gains, I would say, in this kind of car. Again, nice picture. You can see it's, you know, resisting lean quite well. I do like the grille. I think it's quite sporty, and yeah, some bits are obviously pretty useless. They're all blocked off vents, but some actually do provide proper airflow. Lights look quite smart. The IQ lights that they have, they're sort of top of the range lights with a Golf. Nice pictures. Great. Yeah, and ends with sort of like a rear quarter shot there. So that's all great. Let's go through what the article said, and I have read through this briefly, but I'll go through this with you lot just to pick out my kind of main points around it. Now, again, the classic marketing ploy is that, oh, this is different than any kind of Golf. any kind of GTI that has ever existed. And yeah, proof in the pudding to see how it actually drives. But reading through, they basically say Volkswagen don't actually have that much sort of like pedigree in motorsport in the same way that it probably used to, which is a little bit weird. But essentially, it was called the TCR before, which was a touring car racing class. That's what they're sort of talking about. Wasn't used since it was used in basically 2016. So yeah, it hasn't got that heritage to fall back on. I think a lot of people talk about, say, the Toyota Yaris GR, the four-wheel drive one that's just kind of come out, and that's kind of been built on sort of like they're trying to get it homologated for the WRC. It may not happen that competition, but I think that still shows its intent. Whereas this is just sort of like it's just a car. It doesn't really have anything to kind of fall back on in the motorsport world, if any of that makes sense. Yeah, so it comes 6 months after the Golf 8 sort of arrived, so it's had time to sort of bed in quite nicely. It's got obviously that larger spoiler, twin oval pipes, standard wheels are 18s, but you can option for 19s. Same 2-litre E888 engine, which has been in these sort of hot Golfs for so long now, and even those engines have been revised from like Mark 6s and all this kind of stuff. So they really, it's a well-built German engine. That's all I can say. 296 brake horsepower, 295 pounds-foot of torque. Pretty cool. And one thing I'll go on to is how this car is a fair bit lighter as well, which obviously benefits everything, even though it's saying that it has a deficit over the new Golf R. Only front-wheel drive, I say only. It's got an electromechanical differential lock, so not a full-fat locking differential, which is a bit of a shame. But it'll probably do its best work and pull you out of corners quite nicely. Mentions those 357mm discs, which are lighter as well, because it's the same as in the Golf R, 600 grams per corner lighter. So that's unsprung weight, which is cool, which is great. And yeah, better stopping power. What's wrong with that? Even for road driving, you want that. So what's it like? What do they think of it? 0 to 65.6 seconds, which is basically as fast as the GTI can pretty much go on with front wheel drive. You know, traction limited and everything. I think that's pretty fast. And okay, they're saying how traction is still lost, and that's probably because it's got an electromechanical diff and not a locking diff, and it's front wheel drive, and you can only do so much to put all that power down. You know, it's pushing nearly 300 horsepower through the front wheels. Doesn't matter with all the clever technological advances, it's still a lot. I mean, my Fiesta ST, my 200 horsepower one, that was spinning up its wheels. So those are the things that you just have to accept almost. But it does come into its benefit when you're on the move and you can take advantage of the less weight over, say, like a four-wheel drive car. Going sort of further into it, yeah, they mention how they've sort of improved sort of like the handling. They're trying to make it, yeah, as sporty as they possibly can. And this reviewer basically says it has that proper intent, that more focus that if you're a real proper driver, you can get a little bit into, which is nice. 10mm lower in ride height, so that was always going to help things. They've worked on the camber of the front wheels. You know, a lot of wheels are always set up for more road driving, and they're not necessarily set up for corners. They're set up for you going in a straight line. That's what road cars are, but this is obviously changed, so it's a little bit better in the corners. That's my summary of my understanding of all of that. Front springs and dampers are carried over without change. Okay, so that's interesting. New control arm mount, so little bits here and there change, but as we know, times are tough, penny pinching all over the place. This car's going to be absolutely no different. Mentions about that VDQ differential lock. You know, it's not a mechanical one, it's not real. And the dynamic chassis control system as well, and how it all combines to make a very fast Nürburgring time of 7 minutes 54 seconds on Cup 2 tyres. Cool. You know, fair bit quicker than the previous model. Should you buy one, 37 grand is 3,700 over a standard GTI. But even, you know, I'll agree, I think that's good value. If you compare it to a bulk standard GTI, which once you actually spec with DSG, it's 35,000. So they're saying here, is £3,700 premium, but it's actually not, because like for like, a DSG standard Golf GTI is actually 35,000. So you're actually only paying about a £2,200 premium, which, if you look at it that way, it's a no-brainer. If you're looking at a GTI, you'd go for this one. Residuals and fun factor. You live once, don't you? Yeah, it seems like the right way to go. Then they say about the Golf R is only £1,900 more than the Clubsport itself, and I do get that. But it'll eventually come to a point when you stop saying, oh, it's only 2,000 more than this, it's only 3,000 more than this. You know, you have to stop somewhere with the pricing systems. And also, the Golf R, you know, it doesn't even have that rear wing. If you want to put that on, which gives you a few other little, you know, like gives you 19-inch wheels, it gives you the drift mode function as well. That's another £2,000, so you can add another £4,000 basically for a Golf R over this. So it's very complicated. According to their figures, it weighs about 100 kilos less, which is a lot. I mean, you're looking at one, or maybe, I don't know, 1.5 versions of me. So yeah, it does add up. You know, it does add up, and it improves everything: fuel economy, performance, straight line, cornering, just because it's lighter. And I always like reading like the little debate bits. They say it's incredibly expensive. I agree. I've done videos saying it's incredibly expensive. Yeah, and it's just, it makes it very difficult to get it. And I mean, this person mentions about it makes it difficult for private buyers. Obviously, if you're getting it on like some sort of company car tax deal, you can probably make a bit more sense. Yeah. What else did they say? Not too much else. They mentioned about a Golf R being 400 horsepower on the cards. I doubt it, to be honest with you. It's all about the figures, really, that they have to do these days in the world. But let's move back to one of the nice pictures that they've got of the Golf, so we can summarise. That's quite a nice picture, I feel. So what's my sort of thoughts on the article and my sort of pros and cons? Pros, I think, if you compare it to the other Golfs, the standard GTI and the Golf R, appreciate this Clubsport isn't in all regions, so apologies for that. It's not. It has a global car as the R and the standard GTI. But it probably is quite a nice sweet spot, because 300 horsepower, let's be honest, is a lot for the road. Are you really going to be missing about 15 brake horsepower? Probably not. Four-wheel drive system, I think, is really crucial in the you know, it's raining again today. This is what it's like in the UK, and it's probably similar at times wherever you're from. So that's kind of a main thing, and you get the looks. You know, you get that something that I said was potentially missing on the other cars. You get that tiny bit of an X factor. That's what the Germans tend to do. Really small, but it's there in the range. Tough. If you're on a standalone and comparing to its rivals outside of the Golf, £37,000 is a lot of money. I mean, I hope they do some decent discounts. I hope you can get this car for a fair chunk less, because that would make it a lot more appealing. But when I say a fair chunk less, I'd say you'd want to get I mean, maybe you can find one for sort of like a few £1,000s off from a dealer, from the right dealer. That's the sort of thing that I'd be looking for. But I think it's cool. I think it's got potential, and I felt it was worth reading through this article and sharing it with you. But let me know what you think of the GTI Clubsport. Let me know where you think it fits in the range. Let me know on what you think about my thoughts and comments. I think that spoiler is a big thing, because it's like, if you just want your Golf R to look like that, you're paying another £2,000, then you're paying another £4,000 over this, and it adds up. It adds up as a lot of money when you're comparing it in the Golf world. But if you're on a bit more of a budget, stuff like the i30N, the Toyota that I've kind of mentioned in the past, four-wheel drive one, the Focus ST, are all cracking cars, and they're all a fair chunk cheaper, and yeah, not too dissimilar in power. New Civic Type R as well. Apparently there's supposed to be a Civic Type R that's not going to look as crazy and as all over the place as previous models have done. Looks very confused. Yeah, interested to know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Plenty more videos to come, including a UK configurator of this car. But thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.